When things look impossible, whistle in the dark. And you're needing a miracle, whistle and your heart will see in the distance. There's a big old
CNBC-TV18 completing 26 years.
for you to sing happy tune. And when life ain't so bearable, whistle in the dark. And a smile just ain't so wearable.
Let's just keep it that way.
And the stars, one by one.
Parikshit is here with more on Putin's agenda for New Delhi. Parikshit.
Keep chasing the sunshine and go out and play.
Happy 26th birthday.
भी लगाएगी तू?
देखो है तो देखो.
Happy 26th birthday CNBC TV18 from the crown.
लाइन दिखाते रहना, वो इंडिगो का बोर्ड दिखाना, ठीक है?
Listen, I wanna be there with you no matter where you go. Life is a table for two and we're starting the show. I'm gonna spread my wings and fly so high up above the clouds. Simple.
CNBC TV18 turns 26 today. On this day, we would like to thank all of our viewers for your continued trust and support. I am Arundhati Ramnan, and these are the headlines we're tracking this evening. A sharp sell-off on the Dalal Street. Sensex loses over 600 points. Nifty drops below 26,000. All sectoral indices end in the red. More than 7 lakh crore rupees in investor wealth wiped out today. IndiGo is the top loser on the Nifty as flight disruptions continue. Over 500 flights cancelled across India. The airline's management faces government scrutiny and faces a 6 p.m. deadline to reply to a show cause notice from the aviation regulator. Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu promises strict action against IndiGo in Parliament, says the airline did not flag any issues before the mass cancellation of flights, blames internal complications at IndiGo after the new crew rostering rules. Pharma major Biocon announces the merger of its Biologics unit, valuing it at $5.5 billion. Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw says the deal will boost supply, chain synergies and allow value unlocking. That's an exclusive. 2026 will be the year of the Pulsar and expect several launches, says Rajiv Bajaj. Tata Motors likely to hike prices in the new year, says the CEO of passenger vehicles, Shailesh Chandra, citing the rise in commodity prices. That's another exclusive. U.S. trade delegation expected to visit India on the 10th of December to hold negotiations for 3 days. Another delegation from the European Union is slated to meet Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal as trade negotiations gather pace. Thailand launches airstrikes along the Cambodia border, suspends the implementation of a peace deal brokered by the United States in October. Both nations trade blame for the clashes that killed 1 Thai soldier and 4 Cambodian civilians in what has been a fresh escalation in a decade-old conflict. Starlink will offer satellite internet services in India at a cost of 8,600 rupees per month and a one-time hardware cost of 34,000 rupees. The monthly subscription cost is nearly 3 times higher than that of Bangladesh. Those were the headlines that we're tracking for you this evening, but let's start with the day's market action. An all-round fall across the Dalal Street dragged the Nifty below the 26,000 mark. Broader markets witnessed major pain, with the mid-cap index recording its biggest fall in 4 months. 46 out of 50 stocks closing in the red. Prashant Nair joins us now with all of the day's market action. Prashant, it's red across the screen.
A really bad day, and markets, of course, just sinking after what looked like a pretty steady kind of session. I mean, it was not as if you woke up to a bad Wall Street or bad Asian screen. I mean, actually, if anything, the S&P is only about 0.5% from an all-time high, and Asia was not too bad either. But here in India, it's terrible. And the breadth of the market, almost 5 stocks down for every 1 up. Nifty selling off, Nifty Bank down. The Nifty, of course, under the 20-day moving average. The Nifty Bank bouncing off from there. So it was bad. And look at the mid and small cap indices. Mid cap index down about 2%, small cap index down about 2.6%. So that really told you what went on. If you're wondering, I mean, was there an underlying thread, one pointed reason which could kind of neatly explain what happened? I don't think there was one. Just, you know, this feeling that something needs to happen, especially with regards to things like, I mean, the India-US trade deal. There is one other element, which is that just with 17 more days to go, trading sessions to go for the close of the year, I mean, interest levels, volumes, participation, etc., will start to wind down. It will look lower and lower. So keep that in mind as you approach things. Now, IndiGo, I'll just look at the Nifty first. IndiGo was down sharply, 9%. We know reasons why. BEL, that is Bharat Electronics, was down 5%. JSW Steel was down 4%. Shriram Finance, Nestle were the other stocks which were down about 2.5% each. Just 4 or 5 names which ended the day higher. And it was basically a bunch of tech names, TechM, Wipro, HCL Tech and Reliance, which managed an absolutely flat kind of close. As I said, the real damage, of course, in the broader space, Canes down 12%. So now you're basically looking at almost, near 50% cut from the start of the year on Canes. Fino Payment Bank, I mean, tough to explain. They got a license from the RBI. Stock goes south, 12% lower. Excelsoft recent listing, big volumes, 4%. Spark was down. HCC, 7%. SW Solar down 8%. Honasa was down 7%. So many names which kind of sold off aggressively on, and at least the one that I mentioned had volumes in it as well. On the upside, I mean, the Latent View was the #1 volume-led gainer, 13% pop here. Shriram Piston, second day running, 10% on this one. Dredging Corp was up 17%. Rolex Rings, 18% gains here. Dynamatic Technologies, 7.5%. Cupid was up 4%. Home First, Niva Bupa, I mean, the other 2-3% kind of movers. Matrimony was up about 11% as well. So it kind of really stood out in a market which otherwise was pretty dull and poor as far as overall breadth goes. Back to you.
So all-round fall there on the last seat. Many thanks for those details, Prashant. Now, in the money market, the rupee remains above the 90 mark against the dollar. The rupee weakened by 9 paise against the greenback today. Bond prices declined in trade today, and the 10-year yield shot up above 6.5%. Pharma major Biocon will fully integrate Biocon Biologics as its wholly owned subsidiary. The company will acquire remaining stake in Biocon Biologics via share swap, valuing it at $5.5 billion. The company announced that it will be issuing shares to shareholders of Biocon Biologics at a price of 405.6 rupees per share. This is a 3.3% premium to Biocon's closing price last Friday. Speaking exclusively to CNBC-TV18, Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, executive chairperson of Biocon, has said that this merger will see synergies including supply chain procurement. Take a look.
Because we will be throwing off free cash flow now going forward, given the fact that we've retired all the structured equity debts, which will of course throw up another 300 crores next fiscal, and the fact that we are now pursuing this route of merger, where a lot of the minority interest calculations and the kind of related party transactions will also free up more profits, I think puts us in a very strong position.
The IndiGo stock was the top loser on the Nifty today. Flight disruptions continue with around 500 flights cancelled today. The airline's management is facing government scrutiny after sparking chaos at airports and leaving thousands of passengers stranded. IndiGo has time until 6 p.m. to respond to a show cause notice issued by the aviation regulator DGCA. The Union Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu addressed the situation in Parliament today. He said the government will set an example for every airline. According to the minister, the airline did not flag any issues before the mass cancellation of flights.
What honorable member has also observed, we are talking about December 3rd, after 1 month. So there was 1 full month of operations in the new FDTL also. Why I am mentioning this point, even though we are saying because of the FDTL this situation has arisen, there have been a lot of internal complications. This is a day-to-day operations thing that the IndiGo should have maintained. IndiGo was supposed to manage the crew, was supposed to manage the roster through its day-to-day operations. We are there to check if the FDTL is properly implemented or not, and there has been no compromise on that side. And for 1 thorough full month, we have been observing. On 1st of December, we had a meeting with IndiGo on FDTL itself. When they required some clarifications, we have given the clarifications also with that idea, and they have not flagged this issue. So everything was running normal till then. Suddenly, we have observed this on 3rd. Immediately, once this was observed, the ministry came into the picture. We are not taking this situation easily. We are doing an inquiry, and we will take very, very strict action, not only for this situation, but also as an example. We will set an example for all the airlines. If there is any miscompliance, any non-compliance or non-adherence for any single person, any entity or any organization or any operator functioning in this civil aviation, we will take very, very strict action so that we set an example in the industry.
Madhiya Mujawar joins us now with more details. Madhiya, take us through the impact on IndiGo.
Well, the impact is huge because IndiGo, remember, is India's largest airline, controlling 65% market share. So we can only imagine the kind of control they have on Indian aviation. It operates over 2,200 flights every day. And since December 2, IndiGo has cancelled nearly 6,000 flights. That number could even be higher, hitting close to 9 lakh passengers, many of whom were left stranded across major airports. Some missed their job interviews, funerals, some missed their own weddings, and many did not have the money to book flights on other airlines due to the exorbitant rates. It is a crisis that India has never seen before. IndiGo CEO and the COO have been given time till 6 p.m. today, not much time left by the DGCA to give a complete comprehensive response on their failure to ensure reliable operations. They failed to ensure that the operations were not disrupted. The airline is slowly pulling itself out of a crisis that has shaken the entire aviation ecosystem, as we have been seeing on social media. It claimed to have operated 1,650 flights yesterday and plans to operate over 1,800 flights today of the 2,200. The IndiGo board has set up a crisis management group to bring operations back to normal. As per the Aviation Ministry's latest data, IndiGo has processed refunds worth 827 crores between 21st November to 7th December and returned 4,500 of the 9,000 luggage bags to passengers so far. But that's very little considering the scale of impact this has had. IndiGo has been the only airline, remember, that is profitable in India and has been expanding rapidly. It would have never anticipated this kind of crisis. The stock is down nearly 15% since the crisis began, and the airline has lost over 37,000 crores in market cap since the 27th of November. So operations may be improving, but accountability questions and the regulatory consequences are far from over for IndiGo.
Absolutely, Madhiya. Many thanks for taking us through those details. Now, the crisis at IndiGo has brought the new crew rostering norms under the radar, officially known as the flight duty times limitations. The rules are laid out by the DGCA to ensure adequate rest for pilots and the crew and prevent fatigue-related safety issues. But how are the norms placed when compared to United States and Europe? Shivani Bajaj gets us a comparative analysis.
Well, yes, India's new pilot duty time rules, the FDTL norms, are at the center of the debate regarding the IndiGo disruptions, with pilots calling them essential for safety and airlines saying they're too restrictive. So where does India stand globally? Let's take a look at that. To begin with, India is now among the strictest on weekly rest. Pilots here get 48 hours off every week according to the new norms, compared to 30 hours in the US and 36 hours in the Europe. India also uses a wider night flying window. Night duty runs from midnight 12 a.m. To 6 a.m. in the morning. In the US and Europe, it starts later from 2 a.m. So India builds in more protection during the low alertness hours. Night duty limits follow the same pattern. India caps night duty at 10 hours, Europe allows 11 to 12 hours, and US ranges between 9 and 11 hours. So that is where India stands in the night duty. Where India is the toughest is the night landings. Pilots can do only 2 night landings in a week and not more than 2 night duties in a row. The US and Europe don't have separate caps here at all. But in the daytime, India is broadly aligned with global practices, allowing 11 to 13 hours of duty, similar to Europe and just slightly lower than US, which allows 14 hours of daytime duty. So the biggest difference is structural. India follows fixed prescriptive limits on number of hours, number of landings, while the US, Europe and even in Canada, they allow airlines to use scientific fatigue risk models for more flexible scheduling. Overall, India is among the strictest globally for night operations and rest, even as daytime limits stay in line with the international standards. Back to you.
Right, Shivani, many thanks for those details, but it is time for us to head into a short break. Coming up, Starlink will offer satellite internet services in India at a cost of 8,600 rupees per month and a one-time hardware cost of 34,000 rupees. Details when we come back. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still with us on Business 360. Elon Musk's Starlink will offer satellite internet services in India at a cost of 8,600 rupees per month. The hardware required for the service will cost 34,000 rupees. The monthly subscription cost is nearly 3 times higher than that in Bangladesh. Rachna Dhanrajani has more on this. Rachna, how do these rates compare to the other markets that Starlink is in?
Starlink has inched a step closer to its India launch, and today we're getting a first real look at what it may cost Indian users. The company has quietly updated its website with residential pricing that's at 8,600 rupees a month, plus a one-time hardware fee of 34,000 rupees. But what's drawing immediate attention is how sharply this compares with the rest of the world. In markets like Brazil, the Philippines and Nigeria, Starlink's monthly tariff is far lower. But let's look at our neighbors. In Sri Lanka, it's roughly half of the Indian rate. And in Bangladesh, it's nearly a third. This makes India one of Starlink's most expensive consumer markets yet. And remember, this is before adding the terminal cost. And even so, the service isn't live here. India remains waitlisted as the company is still navigating the last set of regulatory and spectrum approvals. But on the ground, preparations are clearly underway. Licenses have been secured, trials have been authorized, and multiple gateway stations are being planned to meet India's data localization rules. Starlink's pitch is not toward India's crowded cities, so we may not see it in Mumbai, Delhi, or Bengaluru. Elon Musk has been clear about that one bit specifically. He is targeting the vast rural and remote parts of the country where conventional broadband is patchy at best. So while the pricing is raising eyebrows, the bigger question now is whether this high-orbit, high-cost service can still find strong demand in the regions it aims to serve.
All right, Rachna, thank you so much for taking us through those details. But with that, it is a wrap on this special broadcast. Many thanks for watching.
"26 years